Hey everyone. So in this demo, I'm going to show you how to create a repeated pattern using Illustrator. So the first thing you want to do is come over here and select our rectangle tool. All right. I'm going to left click, and this allows me to create a box and to put in the dimensions of this box. All right. And I want it to be perfectly symmetrical. So here you can see I already have input here a 5 by 5 box. Okay, so once you put that in, go hit and OK. And it's important that your box is symmetrical. Okay, and you'll see why in just a minute. The first thing I'm going to do is just change the background of this box so I can see, just because it's too dark right now. So I'll just put like kind of a light color in the background and make sure it doesn't have any stroke. Right down here you can see there's no stroke because there's a red line going through the stroke, and then it just has a yellow fill, which is fine. Okay, so again, I'm going to make this a repeated pattern. So I'm just going to keep this simple for now. I'll come here, just create some circles, which I will make different colors so we can see them. All right, here. Okay. And now again, I'll just make these different colors to help keep track of what we're doing here. Yeah. Okay, so now I need to make this into a repeated pattern. Right now, I cannot create a repeated pattern from this because, as you can see, I have an object overlapping my box on each of the sides, right? So if something overlaps on this side, then it needs to do the same thing on this side. Same here. If it's overlapping here, then it needs to overlap here, and overlap here. Because what happens is, think of this as a tile among many. This is going to be taken and it's going to be put over here on bottom, on the right side of it. Another same copy is going to put here on the left side, another same copy on the bottom, and another same copy on the top. And that's what creates our repeated pattern. Okay, so that's why we need to have this circle down here, this one over here, this one over here, and this one up here. So to do it is actually quite simple. First, what you want to do is select on the object that you want to have a copy of. All right, and let me back up just for a second. Notice that this circle here, it's like, I don't know, 70% on my square and then like 30% off. So I move it to the top. I want it 30% on the square and 70% off. Okay, because that's what it would be like if there's another exact square above this. All right, only this 30% would be coming on to this square. So again, I'm going to select that and I'm going to hit return. Okay, and now here you can see in this box, this dialog box came up, it says horizontal, vertical. All right, so what we want to do is we want to make a copy of this so it's the exact same distance but up here. And that's why it's important to have a box that's symmetrical, because we know exactly how far we have to move this away from itself, or make a copy of it that's up here. Okay, so since my box is 5 by 5, I know exactly what the distance is going to be. It's going to be 5 inches. Okay, so we don't want to move this horizontally, we want to move it vertically, so we want to move it up. So we're going to set a horizontal to 0, and we'll set the vertical to 5. Now, if you're not sure, sometimes you need a -5, all right, to move it down, I think. So you can preview, okay? So I was incorrect. I need -5 to move it up. So, because you notice how I hit preview here, you don't see it. It's because it's down below here, okay? So I'm going to just put a minus in front of that 5. I can preview again. There it goes. That's exactly where I want it to be. All right. So what I don't want to do is just hit OK. I want to hit copy because I want to keep my original, but then add a new one there. So I'm going to hit copy. There it is. All right. So again, you have to do this with anything that's overlapping. Okay. So if it's overlapping on one side, then you need to have it overlapping on the other side. So let's do this orange circle here. That's got to move down, okay? So I've selected it, hit return. All right, I don't want it to move horizontally, so I'm going to keep that 0, but I do want it to move vertically. This time it's just going to be 5, so get rid of that minus sign. Hit preview if you're not sure, or if you want to make sure you're doing the right thing. Perfect. Hit copy. There it is. Okay, so let's move this brown circle over to a copy of that to the left. Select it, return. Now this time we're going horizontal, so my horizontal is going to be 5, and my vertical is going to be 0. Okay, let's see if it worked. Whoops, this actually needs to be -5 to move left. There we go, preview, that worked out perfect. Hit copy, there we are. Okay, and now this gray circle, select, return, I'm going to move it 5 horizontally, 0 vertically, copy, there we go. So now all these objects, these circles that were overlapping are now on one side are now overlapping the correct measurement on the other side. Okay. One thing you want to remember is you don't want your background tile. Now my background tile could be clear, it could be a color. I'm going to leave it a color. Okay, you can make it all sorts of things. When you get into doing layering, you might not want to have a color in your top tile because you might want to put a different color behind it and then just have whatever your repeat is on top of that color. Again, this is Illustrator. There's a million ways to do one thing. Okay, but what you don't want it to have is a stroke around it. So like right now, you can see there, I put a red stroke around it. You don't want stroke around it. Okay, so make sure you don't have any stroke around that tile. Okay, and again, like once you've got all your objects overlapping correctly, then you can start adjusting, the center and making it so things fit correctly and move correctly. So I'm just, oops, didn't want to move that. So you can just move things around and play with size and shape and whatever it is to get the desired pattern that you want. Okay. So now that I've created my pattern, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select that tile, that yellow square. So I've just clicked on it and I'm going to copy it. I'm using a Mac, so I'm using Command C to copy. On a PC, it's I haven't used one for Control C, I think. So Command C, and now you can see I made a copy. So there's Command V. All right, I don't want to Command V it. What I want to do is I want to hit Command F. Okay, so what that does is it pastes it right back on top of where I copied it from. So I'm going to hit Command F, which I just did. All right, so there's a new square. All right, so now what I want to do is I want this square to be invisible. All right, so I'm going to come down here. It doesn't have stroke, but I'm going to click on the fill, and I'm going to click to get rid of the fill. All right, so it has no stroke and it has no fill. Now I want to take that invisible square that's selected. You can see if I pull it to the side, all right, there it is. I'm going to put it back where it was, Command Z. All right, I'm going to take that square and I'm going to send it all the way to the back of all of this, okay? So it's in behind everything. So I'm going to hit right click and I'm going to go to transform and, arrange, and I'm going to go to send to back. Not send backwards, but send to back. Send it backwards will only send it behind one object and then another object, another. We want to send it all the way to the back. So we're going to hit send to back. There we go. Now it's been sent to the back. Okay. What that does is it basically tells Illustrator that everything inside that square, that invisible square, is what's going to be our repeated pattern. Okay, so now what we want to do is select everything, like so. And I'm going to drag this up here right into my swatches and drop it right there. Okay, so now you can see there's the new swatch I made. So what I can do, if I focus out here a little bit, let's just move this aside. Never get rid of your original tile that you created. Okay, you never know when you'll have to go back to it or change something. So always keep that. Okay, so now if I just create, if I just create this shape, like so. Okay, I have a square, it doesn't have any stroke or any fill. I'm going to now fill it with my tile that I created. And there it is. You can see my repeated pattern. So if I just focus in a little bit. Okay. And now you might see these little lines right here going through. This tile is repeating perfectly. Don't let those bother you. That's just Illustrator showing you in the program where the seams are. Okay. Whoops. All right. So now a couple other things. Say if you want to move this pattern inside there. Okay. You don't like where it's lining up on whatever you lined up, filled it in. What you can do is you can hold down the button that's underneath the escape key, and what this is the, I believe it's called a title or tilde. I can't remember exactly, but if you hold that button down, it looks like almost it looks like a little squiggly line, horizontal squiggly line. If you hold that down, you can move it, okay, with your mouse like so. Or you can just hear your direction keys, okay? So I'm holding down that button and I'm holding down my left key and it's moving left. I can hold down the up arrow, it'll go up, down arrow. If I hold down shift as well at the same time, it will move even faster, okay? Like so. You can also rotate this pattern in here. If you right click, so select what you the object that your pattern's in, right click and go to transform and go to rotate. Okay, so here you can see first off options, it says transform object and then transform pattern. You do not want to transform your object. Okay, the object is the square or whatever you have filled in. You don't want to transform that. You just want to transform the pattern. So make sure if it's selected to deselect transform object and only have transform pattern. Okay. Now if I select up here, notice right now, see how it looks orange? If I click off of it, it's just gray again. So, oops, let me deselect that. Click that so it's orange or highlighted, and then click preview. Okay, let me click that again. And now I can hold down my down key or my up key, and it's moving. Okay, you can also type a number in there if you want, and if I hold shift it will go even quicker. Okay, I'm holding down shift. So as you can see, you can rotate that pattern in there. Okay, and then hit OK and it will be rotated. One other thing you can do with your repeated pattern is you can make it smaller or bigger. So again, I'll select the object that my pattern's in, I'll right click and I'll go to transform and go down to scale. Alright, so now again I want to make sure transform object is not selected. It's not, because I don't want my object that's being filled to get bigger or smaller. I just want my pattern to become bigger or smaller. And I'm going to go up to uniform, and right now it's at 100, so if I put it at 50 and then unclick and re-click preview, there it is at 50%. Okay, maybe I want to make it bigger. I'll go to 200 and it's even bigger. Okay, 300, really big. Alright, so you can, here's 10, very small. Okay, so you can change according to whatever you're doing the size of your pattern. Alright, so the Illustrator really does, it's great for doing this kind of things, and it really does create a lot of options for you, not only to create a repeated pattern, but to change it once you have it. One more thing, let me just put this aside real quick, and I'll take a copy of this. An easy way to make a copy of something, if you just select it all, hold down your Alt key, and then hold down your, notice how when I go over it with my mouse, it turns into a black and white arrow. Now if I just hold left click and hold that down and then let go, it makes a very quick copy of it. You can just drag it wherever you want. Okay. So one more important thing about making a tile. Okay, we talked about how if if something's overlapping one side, it has to overlap the other side. So if I come here, and let's just take the star for now. And if something's overlapping a corner, whoops, let's get rid of that fill. Let's just make it pink. All right, so if you overlap a corner, okay, go in here a little bit. Notice I'm not just overlapping the top and the side, or just the side. I'm overlapping the top and the side. So that means you need this object, okay, whether it's a star or whatever you're doing. If it's overlapping a quarter, it's overlapping two sides. So that means it has to be on every single corner. So again, I would select this object and then hit return. Okay. Again, I'm going to do this. I'm going to move it horizontally. I can do 5. Vertically, I can do 0. All right. I already have preview, so you can see it's moving it. Okay. Hit a copy, and then again, have it selected. Hit return. Now I need to do the bottom. Okay. So horizontally, 0. Vertically, minus 5. Oops, sorry. Just 5. Always get those confused. Copy. Now I need to move it back to the left side. Yeah. Can never remember that. Oh, no wonder why. Vertically it should be 0. Horizontally is what I need to move it right now. There we go. Copy. Okay. Now it's at every single corner. And then you can drag whatever it is into your swatches, like so. Let's get this out of the way. I'll pull this back, and I'll click on that. And there it is. There's my new pattern. Okay. So it's at every single corner. Okay, so if you do something over a corner, it has to be on every single corner. Okay, if it's just over one side, then it only has to be on the opposite side. Okay, well, I think that is it for this demo. I hope it's helpful in making your repeated pattern, and we'll see you later.